Morning. Welcome to the Art of Fire Glass Blowing Studio outside of Laytonsville, Maryland, also near Damascus, Maryland. I'm Bruce. I'll be doing the narration and the camera work today, and in just a moment we're going to get started making a piece for you. And both on today's book, we're emphasizing trails. And so what we're going to do in this first 30-minute session, or a little less, is something in the manner of this fan vase here, a small fan vase. So the trail on this particular piece is made by putting clear glass over a layer of gold dust. Not actually gold dust, but a gold colored frit. And Foster will be making that for us. And good morning, Foster. How's it going?
Hey, good morning. I'm fine, and I hope everybody out there is doing well as it's springtime in the mid-Atlantic, and we hope that the weather is pretty decent where you are. Family out in Colorado had snow overnight.
Oh, wow.
For the second time in a week. But that said, we've got nice weather here on the East Coast in the mid-Atlantic, and without further ado, Bruce explained to you basically what we're going to do. Instead of a red background though, and I'll start by picking that piece of color up. So
great, let's roll. All right, so Foster's got the blowing iron or blowpipe pre-warmed in our pipe warmer over there, and he's going to walk over to the annealer now, and the piece of blue is already in there warming up to about 900 degrees. That helps it stick to the end of the blowpipe. You can see as he comes by, it's kind of sharp on the edges, so that's a piece of the blue glass, and he'll take that and put it in the glory hole, warm it up a little bit so he can start working on it. Might have picked up a little dust on it. It's all right. So he'll take a few moments to heat up that chunk of blue glass in the glory hole, get it to where it's malleable. It's going to start getting soft here in just a moment. And then once he does, he'll shape that up and introduce a little bit of air into it. Well, good morning, Bridget. Good morning, Lynn. And Tommy's Workshop. Where is Tommy's Workshop? I'm curious, so go ahead and use the comments section. I've seen that entry here before. I'm just a little bit curious. A lot of the folks that have visited with us have been here many, many times, and sometimes we get some new folks, or perhaps it's just my memory failing. Okay. West Yorkshire, UK. Great, thank you. And I'm just curious, Tommy, how you encountered us in the first place or decided to get here. We had quite a few folks from the UK when we did a presentation along with a woodworkers group about a month ago, and quite a few of the folks were from there. We've also had a few folks that have joined us from the UK, just happened to hit us with the glass blowing thing. The unit that Foster's using right now is called a glory hole. He's got the glass in there. There is no glass, it's just a chamber for reheating or doing original heat if you're melting something down. So right now what he'll do is on this metal table, the marver it's called, he's going to shape the blue glass. And this helps cool it just a little bit so it doesn't blow out of control. Then he'll blow into the pipe, cover the end of the mouthpiece with his finger, and the pressurized air has nowhere to go but out into the blue. And gets a little bit of a roundness to it. That's how you can tell the change in shape that indicates the air bubble went in there, and now it's just a matter of a little reshaping, and he has to let that cool off. Were he to gather immediately from the furnace, the intense heat, the 2,000 degree glass would make that little bubble he started collapse and be back to the drawing board on it. Ah, okay, Tommy, great to hear that. Yeah, good afternoon from the UK. Yeah, we're probably 4 hours behind you right here. All right, so Foster's now going over to the furnace, and he's going to gather clear glass over top of the blue. We melt our own glass here, as do most production studios. And it starts out in a powdery form as batch, and then we put it in there in the furnace. and cook it for about 8 to 10 hours, and that's how we get the glass. You can see the coating of clear is over top of the blue. Of course, the blue looks kind of orangish now. That's because of the intense heat. As it cools, it will become a little less colorful.
I put that there.
Somebody left Foster a present, and so we'll get that up off the floor in a minute. Right now he's using the cherry wood cup that's on a handle. We call the tool a block. It gives some shape to the glass. It also kind of chills the outside just a little bit and stabilizes it. You saw when he brought it back from the furnace first off that it was really kind of wobbly. There's a lot of motion to it. So he stabilized it, again with the trapped air, and we'll watch the bubble increase in size within that gather of clear. The block can also be used to kind of chill and shape the glass after you've introduced some air. And just like with the previous gather, or the that he went for the furnace, he doesn't want this too hot. So let that cool a little bit, do a little housekeeping, get his tools all set there like he wants, and then he'll go take another gather on this. This will be the one with the gold frit, won't it, Foster? Yeah. So when Foster comes back with this hot gather of glass, he's going to come over to this bowl right here, which has gold-colored glass in it, and it's ground up, and the grains on that are probably close to table salt. And we can get this granular glass that we call frit in a variety of sizes. And this is a very fine grain right here. He's going to use this to coat the outside of the gather. So here he comes with the hot, fresh glass. And now he'll just gently tap the pipe around and around and around. Or maybe he'll tap it a little more aggressively, depending on what kind of morning he's had. But he wants to get full coverage around that. Now at the same time, Josh has gathered up clear glass. And when Josh brings this over, Foster will distribute the glass in a random pattern all around the gold frit that he's picked up. And there we go. So now he's got this random trail of clear glass over the gold. What will happen here is he melts this in. The clear is actually going to help to spread the gold apart a little bit. He'll start either with the marver or the block, and he'll be turning the glass and getting the trail that he just put down so it's a nice smooth surface with the rest of the glass. And I'll show you quickly here the little display piece we have. You can see now where the clear was trailed through the gold on this piece that was backed up with red, and it actually spread the gold frit apart a little bit, and then you can actually see through it to the red. So we're going to get the same effect over here. Now with the intense heat, the gold color looks like it's disappeared. It's just, it's not quite as visible, but it's there. You can see the lines from the clear that was through it. You also get a pretty good shot of the internal bubble of color that's in there with the blue. Once again, he's going to take it and blow. The bubble will inflate and it'll begin making the piece. What's the shape of this piece, Foster? What kind of vessel?
A bowl.
A bowl?
Form. Yeah, and then we'll go ahead and put a foot on it, transfer it, open it up, and I'll perhaps do some straight sides to it, perhaps flare it out just a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see what it wants.
We'll see what it does as it goes along. So keep in mind now that the gold is on the outer surface of the vessel, because this is going to be really important in a decorative process as we get further along. We'll use the marver, the metal table again, to cool the tip of the glass. When we put the glass into the glory hole for heating, all of it gets hot. But by taking some of the heat out by rolling it on the steel, he can now blow, and the bottom doesn't expand nearly as much as the top. Most of the pieces we make in the glass blowing involve making a spherical shape with what we call a jack line in it. He's using a tool called the jacks right now. They're a pair of metal blades hinged together. He's put the constriction in the glass because nobody wants this bowl with a 4.5 foot piece of steel attached. You can see it inflate from his blowing, and now it's back for a reheat. So there's a constant need to come back and reheat the glass during the process. Once he gets back to the bench after a reheat, the glass begins to cool immediately. And he might have a minute, maybe even a minute and a half to work it. Once again, cooling the bottom of the vessel first so that it doesn't expand too much. And then that allows him to blow or work the glass in whatever way he wants. He's going to re-establish that jack line, and now he'll blow. And the inflation takes place mostly from the midpoint upward toward the blowpipe. So again, we make the pieces by creating a sphere with a jack line in it, and also we work the bottom half of the vessel, which is outward from the blowpipe first, then we transfer it. Right now he's chilling and shaping with a pair of what we call paper pegs. They're cardboard jack blades, basically. He's going to hand this off to Josh, who will now take care of flashing it. And we can get a good idea right now of where the trails are through that. They're kind of a raised element in the form. The colors aren't really showing through yet. That's going to come a little bit later. So Josh will keep the piece hot while Foster gathers glass. He's going to put a foot on this vessel. I'm not sure if he's going to put a stem and a foot or just a foot. Just a foot, Josh says. Or just a foot, Josh nods. Okay, so what will happen here is Josh has finished flashing the piece. Foster brought the glass back. A little bit of shaping, not much. We don't want to steal a ton of heat. And then he'll use his jacks to cut a little line close to the pipe. This helps the glass flow off. Notice that Josh has the piece over here upside down, and Foster will place the glass for the foot directly into the center. When he's happy with its placement, he'll snip it off. Josh will present it to him, and now Foster will form the foot. He'll use two pieces of wood hinged together. We call these foot boards. He flattens it.
I'm going to do a block foot.
You're going to do a block? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to squeeze it.
He's going to change it up. Okay, so not going to do the footboard, but check one of our other videos if you want to see a foot done with a footboard. All right, so that disc of glass that's clear right now down there on the bottom is the foot. Looks a little like a hockey puck, a rounded hockey puck instead of the square one. So he's asked Josh to go over and make the punty right now. Punty is just a little bit of glass. You can see Josh over there at the furnace. He's got a little bit of glass on the end of an iron, and he's going to shape that so that there's not much glass extended off the end of the iron. He doesn't want a lot sticking off of there because the job of this glass is to keep the attachment point between it and the bottom of the vessel, but not let it move around a whole lot. So he shaped it, rounded it up some, and you can see that there's not very much sticking off the end of the pipe at all. And that's absolutely perfect. Foster will place the punty into the middle of the foot, and then he'll start turning both irons to make sure that he's got a nice straight line. If we back up, you can see that he's trying to maintain a straight line from one pipe all the way through the piece, and then all the way to the end of the other piece. Everything's a nice straight line. A little bit of water on the neck, and then some vibration, and it breaks free. The vibration is from just tapping the iron. And there we go with a successful transfer. As I mentioned earlier, we work the bottom half to 2/3 of a vessel first, and then we turn it around and finish the top. And that's where we're at right now. You can also see that Foster doesn't have the piece entirely into the glory hole. There's no need to reheat excessively the part that he's already completed. He can warm the lip or the mouth of this vessel and get it hot enough to work, and then he'll change that shape. Of course, since that was cold enough to fracture, it takes a little while to get it reheated to the point that he can work it. Every once in a while, you'll notice him put the entire piece into the glory hole. That's what we call a flash heat. That's to, well, good morning, Wayne. Glad to have you with us. The flash heat is to introduce heat into the entire piece because we can't let it go down below about 1,000 degrees or it'll crack. The top of the vessel is glowing orange right now. That's indicative of heat. And he's going to use his jack blades now like you would a pair of fingers in a clay pot, but of course we can't do that. So he puts the metal fingers in there and allows him to expand it somewhat. Now he's checking for the fit with his steam cone. That's going to be the next tool to use, and this is a kind of interesting process. The steam cone is also made of fruit wood. It's made of cherry wood, just like our cups that we call blocks. And it rests in water all the time. When that cone is introduced into the vessel, the steam that results forces the expansion of the sides. So when Foster comes back, you'll see him grab the steam cone, plug the hole, the opening in the end of the piece, and when he puts that in, if you watch that area that's bright orange right now, even though it will darken, it'll start to expand. He's chilling the lip so it doesn't collapse. And here we go. Now watch the orange area. You're going to see it blow up, get larger and larger, and that's from the action of the steam cone. The heated water creates steam, blows it out. Then after that, he'll work on opening it up a little bit, and if most of the heat dissipates, then what he'll do is go back and reheat. So like I said earlier, a minute and a half sometimes is about all he's got to work before it requires a reheat. We'll give the whole piece a good flash just to make sure that it doesn't get cold and crack. And then once again, he'll concentrate the heat in the area he wants to manipulate. So from the depth of this heat, you can probably figure when he comes back, about the top 3 inches of this piece will be glowing orange, and that's what he wants to move. So take a couple of heats here, then it's back to the bench. It's a really great color for showing you where the heat is. The lower half of that vessel, just kind of a shade of dark, deep blue, might be a little hard to detect on the camera. And you can see that he worked the top of it while it was hot. Now that it is cooled off, he's going to have to change up. So this time around, he's going to open it up. He's going to use some centrifugal force to flare it out. But then comes the color magic. So, no chubby checker this week.
I'm
No
going to make
twist
it a
link.
straight-sided piece.
Oh, straight. Okay.
Flare out.
Okay.
I'm not going to ruffle it.
He's not going to ruffle it. All right. So as far as the color magic, that's going to take place in just a few moments after he's taken care of expanding this. I'm going to show you this torch that we have back here. That's a propane torch with no external oxygen supply to it. It's just the natural air and propane, so there's not a lot of high pressure air. We're going to use that in a few moments.
Bruce, just say propane and propane accessories, okay?
Propane and propane accessories?
Thank you, that's all I need.
Why?
Propane!
King of the hill, that's what he says.
Oh, King of the Hill. Okay. So now Foster's getting this straightened out here, the sides straightened. There's no real gold in that yet. So now what's going to happen? process. This is a process we call reduction. And that's what happened is the gold on the outside reduced, where the clear trail pushed it aside, you can see through to the blue. And reducing colors are colors that will, when they're presented with an oxygen-starved flame, which is what that propane torch is, it releases the oxygen from the color. Basically, the flame is looking for more oxygen, and it actually can take it from the color. Foster will bring this over. He's going to put on an insulated glove. He'll use his little butter knife to chip around the punty joint. And then he'll tap the iron with a hammer handle and catch it in his gloved hand. And there we go. There's the finished piece. Beautiful. Okay, wonderful. Alrighty, so into the annealer it goes, and those of you that have heard these videos before know that the annealing is actually the longest part of our glass blowing process. That'll take about 8 to 10 hours once the annealer is shut off at the end of the day. So there you have it, and we're glad you joined us today. If you're so inclined to watch even more glass blowing and even more different types of trails, join us on our Facebook Live video here in about 7 or 8 minutes. We'll see you there. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thanks.